So the tour is celebrating 20 years since the release of The Voice. How has life changed for you in that 20 years?
Oh, I mean, immensely so. I mean, the whole landscape of the music industry's changed massively. Whereas back then, probably in 2000, I think it was record sales that used to drive the success of tours. Now it's the other way around. I think
Yeah.
it's tours that drive the success of records. I think records back then really meant something as well. And I think since the intervention of digital, that's been diluted slightly. But I think one of the things for me that out of this 20-year recording career that I've had that's not changed is the affection that I have for my fan base and the touring that I've done over the last 20 years. I've had a solid fan base and we've done very well out of it. And I can't tell you, when I first started my recording career back in 2000, I'd have been happy if somebody would have told me I'd be celebrating my 20th anniversary in the industry.
Yeah, wow. You've played at massive stadiums, you've opened global sporting events, you've done so many things. So what's it like then when you come to, say, Nottingham and play the Royal Concert Hall? It must be, completely different. And which do you prefer?
I don't really think of it in that way. Every individual performance that I do has exactly the same relevance and significance to me. It's exactly the same setup procedure as if I'm singing for, in the Nou Camp Stadium in front of 92,000 in the Champions League final versus, singing down the road in maybe a small theatre in Crewe in front of, I don't know, 700-800 people. The process to set up and prepare is the same. The process of singing is exactly the same as well, and I get the same adrenaline rush and buzz, whatever the size of the audience is.
Just assume that if it was like, a huge audience, you'd be feeling a little bit more anxious.
The bigger the audience, the less anxious I generally feel. It's when you can, if I was put out in front of an audience of 5 people versus 50,000, you can't, with the 50,000, you can't see most of them. And if only half of them clap, that's 25,000. That's a lot of people clapping. It's quite loud. But if you've got 5 people and only 3 clap, and you can see one or two of them sat there like that, looking at the watches, or maybe the odd yawn here and there.
I'm sure there's none of that. Looking back then, over the 20 years, what would you say you're most proud of?
I think probably the fact that I've been able to sustain longevity, the fact that I've been able to hold on to my fan base. I mean, I've watched a lot of artists that were, big news when I was first entering into the music scene. And I've watched a lot of people disappear over those 20 years, come and go. And I've been very fortunate. I think not least of all because of the genre of music that I'm involved with. But I've been very fortunate to still, have this amazing career and still be doing what I love more than anything.
And your health's been well documented, hasn't it? How are you now? You mean you're obviously completely well.
Yeah, I have to take a varied concoction of different hormones and drugs and so on, but it's a small price to pay, and absolutely. I'm still here and, loving life. Not as much as loving the 80s, but the 80s was my time.
Oh, well, I can ask you a quick 80s question then. So who did you love in the 80s? What bands did you follow?
The Jam.
Really?
Madness. Yeah, Madness. When Weller broke the Jam up, it was the Style Council for a while. I didn't mind a bit of UB40 as well. They were the Specials. I didn't mind a little bit of that. Ghost Town was one of my favourites. So yeah, that's sort of that type of repertoire. And then maybe sort of later on, maybe some of the early Oasis repertoire as well. But I think predominantly during the 80s, it was more of the almost like what you'd probably call the mod scene that I was into.
Do you actually go to gigs and festivals yourself, apart from performing at them? Would you actually go as a fan, as a spectator?
Don't go as a fan. I'm not really a fan of anything. I'll go and watch shows. I mean, the last show that I went to watch was only last week, and it was Everybody's Talking About Jamie.
Okay, yeah.
which is it's a great little show that. Not least of all because my pal Shane Ritchie's in it as well. We were in the castle in Wales together for a little while. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh yes, of course you were. Yeah, in I'm a Celebrity. I was going to ask you about that as well. Yeah, and
oh,
saw Shane Ritchie in Greece about 30 years ago. Showing my age.
yeah, blimey, I remember that as well. So I'm showing mine too.
I'm a Celebrity. Then I'm a massive Anthem Deck fan. Is it as awesome as it looks on the telly?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great. It really was fantastic. I mean, it's not easy. Anybody who's going in there thinking that it's going to be an easy ride and that there's people stood somewhere in the distance out of the way with all your daily goods, it's not going to happen. There's all you literally from the moment you walk in there, every single creature comfort that you've got used to is removed from you. So phones, iPads, everything, hair products, you name it, all gone.
I'm sure some
All
people
gone.
have it written into their contracts that they're allowed a little bit of something.
No,
Really?
no, absolutely not. Whoever said that obviously hasn't been in the show because it doesn't happen. Food as well. Your
Really?
food limited to 600 calories a day, and it doesn't matter if you're feeling. I lost 20 pounds in that in 2 weeks.
It's amazing, isn't it? I
So
think we all need a bit of that. Well,
well,
I could
I
do with
did
a
at
bit of
that point when I went
that.
in. I've been doing a lot of exercise. I think I can't get rid of this extra weight that I've got on. It happens when you get to a certain age. I tell
Tell
you,
me about
the
it.
I'm a celebrity slimming plan worked for me.
Were you not a little bit gutted though to end up in a castle rather than end up in Australia?
No, I've,
Oh.
I've toured. I've been asked this question a few times. I've toured Australia lots of times, and that journey there is a nightmare. I mean, literally from door to door, you're talking 34, 35
Yeah.
hours. But the journey back, oh, oh, even thinking about it, it just wipes you out. I mean, it's nice while you're there. I love Australia, Sydney Opera House, and
Yeah,
toured the whole of Australia. But the journey
getting
to
there.
get there for me
Yeah.
takes a lot of getting over. So when they said, "Oh, got some bad news," this is how they present it. Some bad news, Russell. I'm afraid that because of the pandemic, we won't be able to film in Australia this year. Oh, right, okay. Where are you filming? We're filming in Wales. Wales? In a castle? In a
I'd have been
castle?
gutted. I'd have been absolutely gutted.
Yes. A boyhood dream come true. I'm going to live in a castle in Wales.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Very good. Okay, November the 25th, you're coming to Nottingham. Really looking forward to it. I've never seen you play live. I'm coming to the gig. I'm going to review it.
Fantastic.
Really looking forward to it. For anybody else like me that shamefully have never seen you play live, they've only seen you on the TV, what can you say to get them to come along to your gig?
Well, it's kind of, if people know who I am, they'll know what they're going to get from me. If you've never seen me before, the one thing that you're going to get is an artist that's truly connected with what he does. And it's a lot of people see me and go, "Oh yeah, he's the opera singer." I'm not really an opera singer at all.
Yeah.
I sing classical repertoire, but I also sing, there's a lot of stuff from the musicals. So we tap into Les Miserables and Phantom of the Opera and a little night music, you name it. There's a vast array of repertoire. And I think one of the things that's attracted people to me over the years is the fact is maybe in some respects my versatility. So I don't stick with one genre. There's lots of different things. Predominantly, it's the big classical arias that everybody knows. But second to that, it's a lot of musical theatre, and I get a real kick out of singing, the likes of "Bring Him Home" and "Music of the Night" and all those big, famous, well-known, barnstormer musical theatre numbers combined with the classical repertoire. But on this tour, it's going to be a combination of, I think, my favourite songs from the last 21 years of my career as a recording artist, combined with songs that I think the fans are going to love as well.
Any 80s?
I'm just trying to think. Probably the closest thing to 80s that I've got would be. Let me think. What would it be? Oh, you know the song "Sending the Clowns." It came from. Oh, you will do. Check it out. "Sending the Clowns." Have a listen to it. And you go, oh, that one.
Right. I'll give you an extra loud cheer when you do that one.
Yes.
We can't wait to see you in Nottingham. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.